I think it is showing me live.
Yes.
Okay. Jai Hind. Before starting our today's discussion on the great escape of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, we will remember Professor Chitra Ghosh, the niece of Subhash Chandra, who passed away on yesterday. Professor Ghosh was one of the energetic persons who always encouraged the documentation of the true history of the War of Independence. We convey our deep condolence for the family from Team Desh. In our last episode, we concluded when, after a number of discussions with Sharat Chandra, finally Subhash Chandra selected Dr. Shishir Kumar Bose and he was given the responsibility to drive the car with his Ranga Kaka Babu up to Gomu. But even after this selection, there were lots of preparation left to make a foolproof plan for the enemy number one of British Raj to start his great escape. Today, in our fifth episode with Sri Abhijit Roy, we will listen to the detail of this last phase of preparation.
Thank you, Anusha. Thank you, Anusha, and Jai Hind to both of you. And Jai Hind to the viewers. As Anusha said, yesterday was a great personal loss for me. My auntie, Srimati Chitra Ghosh, she left for the heavenly abode. She was a person who was always behind this sort of, he was always an encouragement behind our works, anything about Subhash, about Netaji. And she always used to say that we are now aged, you should go ahead. You should let the next generation know about the history of the Indian independence movement. So today, with the remembrance of my auntie, I had decided to look forward, to march forward, and to reach my destination, to make the nation know about the true history. I remember one episode, one incident of 1943, when in Madagascar, there was a high tide sea, and it was very difficult for Subhash Chandra Bose or Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose to cross over to the Japanese U-boat from the German U-boat. The two U-boats or submarines could not stand parallel to each other. The sea was so rough and it was a high tide sea. So both the captain and Netaji came out of the submarine and they were watching and thinking what to do. Netaji asked the captain of the German U-boat, Captain, what do you think I should do? The captain said, Mr. Bose, Fuhrer has told me to reach you up to this point. He has not ordered me to die for your cause. So I have done my job, but the high tide of the sea is simply not allowing you and your companion Abid Hassan to move over to the Japanese U-boat. So I would suggest you, let us go back. So in reply, Netaji said, Captain, I've come all the way not to go back. I have come here to fulfill my mission, and that mission is the liberation of my motherland. And I will not stop, I will not go back but I will go ahead. So this was Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and when he asked the captain, what are the possibilities of going to the Japanese U-boat, the captain said of the German U-boat that this rubber dinghy is the only hope with which both of you can go to the Japanese submarine. Subhash Chandra Bose took the risk. He and Abid Hassan got into the rubber dinghy and they sailed, and ultimately they reached the Japanese U-boat. In that respect, I would also say that however saddened I may be, I must go on for my mission to inform the nation about the true history of Indian independence movement, and also that is my destination, and I will not go back, I will go ahead. Anyway, excuse me for me being a little bit emotional, because as you know, it was my personal loss. As Anushka said, that a decision was made, but still Dr. Shishir Kumar did not know what was the responsibility to be given on his shoulders. So after all this discussion, Dr. Ashok Nath left for Barari on the 25th of December 1940. After a detailed discussion with his uncle Subhash, after a few days, Ashok Nath's mother, Srimati Bibhavati Bose, went to Barari with, to stay with her eldest son, and she took along with him her other daughters and little son to Barari to stay at Barari till the first week of January 1941. Now, why this visit? There are two reasons for this visit. This visit was needed. Now, if we really recall, that Srimati Bibhavati Bose had written a letter to Dr. Ashok Nath, as I've told you earlier, wherein Srimati Bibhavati Bose had called Ashok Nath in Calcutta for some family discussions, and in that particular letter, he had wished to stay for a few days at Barari with her eldest son and daughter-in-law. Now, on those days, it was a routine for the British Empire to open each and every letter addressed to the addresses of 1 Woodman Park and 38 by 2 Elgin Road, and also to examine the letters which are going out of these two respective addresses. So, in order to convince the British intelligence, Bibhavati Bose, she made a visit to Barari so that the British intelligence know that the desire which Bibhavati has expressed in a letter addressed to the eldest son, Dr. Ashok Nath, is in reality true, and according to her wish, Srimati Bibhavati Bose had wished to visit Barari. Secondly, the place 1 Woodburn Park was planned to be kept a little bit empty, and the family members along with Srimati Bibhavati Bose living there, excepting Shishir Kumar, should go out of the house. because certain preparations were required at that time, and it was to be done by Shishir Kumar. So they are the two main reasons that this visit of Vivavati Bose was there to Barari to visit his eldest son and daughter-in-law, along with the family of three sisters and one small brother. Now, while they had gone, and in the meantime, Sarat Chandra Bose had also gone to Kalimpong for a health change. So, in number one Woodburn Park, only the domestic helps and Dr. Shishir Bose was there. Now, on one holiday, the personal servant of Subhash Chandra Bose came to one Woodburn Park and informed Shishir Kumar that his uncle Subhash wished to see him. Accordingly, in the evening, when Shishir Kumar visited 38 by 2 Elgin Road, in the evening, he went upstairs and straight went to the room where Subhash Chandra was staying or resting. Now, after entering the room, Shishir Kumar saw quite a number of guests or well-wishers engaged in a conversation with Subhash Chandra. So, Shishir Kumar waited a while, hesitated, and did not know what to do. But Subhash Chandra begged to be excused from all the guests who were available. The room was vacated, the room was cleared off of anybody else, and Subhash Chandra also told Ila to go out of the room. Ila Bose, she went out. The room had only Shishir Kumar and Subhash Chandra, his uncle. After Shishir Kumar, after everybody had left, Subhash Chandra indicated Shishir Kumar to come near and sit at the corner of the bed. He showed the place to Shishir Kumar to sit there, very close to his uncle who was lying on the bed. Now, after Shishir Kumar sat on the bed, Subhash Chandra, after a moment of pause and staring straight at Shishir Kumar's face, just asked him the first question: can you do me a favor? Now, by nature, Shishir Kumar was very quiet and reserved person. And he was not, uh, very extrovert type of a man, sort of an introvert young man. So after hearing this, maybe internally he got a little excited, but he didn't show his excitement externally. And instead, a little hesitantly, he nodded his head in the affirmative. The next question which Subhash Chandra asked his nephew was how skillful he was in driving a car. Now Shishir, who was a bit shy, shyly replied that he could drive the car well. The third question which Subhash Chandra asked him was that had he undertaken a long journey in a car by driving himself? Shishir replied that yes, he had taken some long journeys with the family, But usually, in those long journeys, the chauffeur or the driver of the car, he used to ride the car. He, he did not have the experience of driving a car in the long journey. After that, Subhash Chandra, after all these discussions, questions and answers and everything, he told Shishir Kumar that he has to undertake a very secret journey by car at night to a very secret place. And in that journey, Shishir Kumar has to drive the car and help his uncle Subhash Chandra to reach that secret destination. And further he questioned his nephew, will it be possible for you? Shishir Kumar slowly nodded in the affirmative because he was confident that he could do it. And at that time, his famous uncle was asking for a favor. How could he say no? So Subhash Chandra told Shishir Kumar that this sort of secret journey will not be known to anybody, even to the members of the family. And in the Elgin Road, only Subhash Chandra himself, Shishir Kumar and niece Ila would know about this. Purposefully, Subhash Chandra did not name the other two cousins of Shishir, Dijendranath and Aurobindo, which he thought he would say later on, or Shishir can realize it later on. So Subhash Chandra told Shishir Kumar to go home and think about that secret journey seriously. He called Shishir Kumar once again in the next evening and told him to express his viewpoints after seriously thinking about the plan. Shishir Kumar was also advised by his uncle not to have any discussion even with his parents. Subhash Chandra said, if required, I shall talk to your parents. Now, after Shishir came back to One Woodman Park, he felt an excitement within himself, but in fact could not express this excitement to anybody in the house, as he had been forbidden to do so by his uncle Subhash. Next day, Shishir Kumar went to the Elgin Road house once again, and after that, Shishir Kumar started visiting 38 by 2 Elgin Road almost every day. According to the plan, which was made and advised by Shishir Kumar, everybody in the house of 38 by 2 Elgin Road and later on at One Woodman Park knew that this regular visit of Shishir Kumar to 38 by 2 Elgin Road was under the instruction of his uncle Subhash Chandra, because Shishir Kumar was very efficient in tuning the foreign radio stations at that time. Now, there was a radio set inside the room where Subhash Chandra used to stay at 38 by 2 Elgin Road. And as a regular affair, Subhash Chandra used to listen to the broadcasts from certain foreign radio stations like Japan, Berlin, Rome, England, etc. And Shishir Bose was given the responsibility to come in the evening, tune in those radio stations so his uncle may hear it. His uncle used to say the radio station which he wanted to see, and the Shishir would tune it accordingly. This regular visit, everybody thought, was a regular routine in order to have Subhash Chandra an idea about the war situation prevailing in Europe and also in Southeast Asia at that time. Mainly in Europe. In Southeast Asia, it started later on, around 42 or something. So this regular visit of Shishir Kumar at 38 by 2 Elgin Road and his regular discussion with his uncle on different subjects, on different topics, removed, firstly, the shroud of hesitancy and shyness, whatever was there in between an uncle and his nephew. When Subhash Chandra wanted to have any secret discussion with Shishir Kumar, he would indicate Shishir to close the door leading to the corridor so that anyone else could not enter the room. Likewise, every day, Shishir Kumar used to visit 38 by 2 Elgin Road residence to meet his uncle. And if there were too much of uh, crowd inside, too much of guests inside, Shishir Kumar either used to wait outside or used to go in and try to tune that radio so that he could catch up the desired foreign radio station as asked by his uncle. So everybody knew, even the outsiders knew, that this nephew of Subhash Chandra had come here for the purpose of tuning in the exact foreign radio station which Subhash Chandra wanted to listen to. And many a times in front of the guest, Subhash Chandra used to tell his nephew that please tune in that particular radio station. And if the news would be like this, that Great Britain had been put in some awkward position or situation by the Axis power, Subhash Chandra Bose used to express joy and happiness. And the guests in the room present, they used to also share the joy and happiness along with Subhash Chandra Bose. So this was actually for the people to know that the purpose of Shishir Kumar's visit to 38 by 2 Elgin Road from 1 Woodburn Park and to bring both the uncle and nephew mentally very close to each other. It's also helped to develop and boost up the self-confidence which was very much needed in Shishir Kumar. So there were ways, days after day, this happened, and slowly, Shishir Kumar gained the confidence that he will be a member of the secret mission along with his uncle. Now, before they escaped, the probability of few changes were also discussed between Subhash Chandra, Sarat Chandra, and Major Satyaranjan Bakshi, that Sarat Chandra had purchased a house at Rishra by this time in the district of Hooghly. This house was at the banks of river Hooghly. A lot of air and lot of sunlight. Sarat Chandra bought this house with an intent to spend his weekends and holidays with his family. Now it was discussed, not decided, it was discussed whether Subhash Chandra will be shifted at this house for the recovery of his health, and ultimately the escape will happen from here. But considering the pros and cons, that idea had to be cancelled. Because firstly, it would be difficult for the family members and close friends to visit Rishra out regularly. And secondly, as the house was situated on the banks of river Hooghly and on Grand Trunk Road, from both sides, it will be easier for the British police and intelligence to keep a close watch, a close eye on the house. The river police would be there in the Ganges, and right on the GT road, there will be intelligence covering the house. So this was ruled out. Another possibility that if Subhash Chandra Bose can be shifted in a bigger and more airy house like One Woodman Park, and from there he can make the journey, secret journey. But after a detailed discussion, this was also cancelled because it may raise a lot of suspicion and vigilance may increase because the house belonged to Sarat Chandra Bose. Sarat Chandra Bose was not also above suspicion, and British knew that he was the main power or support behind his brother Subhash Chandra Bose. And moreover, there were some people employed at number 1 Woodburn Park who were not above suspicion. Sarat Chandra Bose had recruited many people under the advice of many of his friends, but they were not also above suspicion. I'm not going to name any one of them, but the fact was that. So ultimately, it was decided that the Great Escape will take place from 38 by 2 Elgin Road residence. Without the knowledge of Srimati Prabhavati Bose, Subhash Chandra and Sarat Chandra's mother, and a good number of family members residing at 38 by 2 Elgin Road. Now, probably I have told also at that time, only Subhash Chandra Bose and his mother Prabhavati Bose used to stay at the second floor of the house of 38 by 2 Elgin Road. The rest of the family members used to reside on the third floor. So it was a little bit easier to go out from the first floor, while the other members who are residing at the second floor, and his mother at first floor would be in deep sleep. So the night was decided like that. And it was also decided that Subhash Chandra would be escaping from his house in a disguise. Now, what disguise? The day of his escape will be fixed It depended on the on once the confirmation arrives from the northwest frontier province through Mia Akbar Shah. So after all these discussions, the four members of the family, Ila Bose, Dijendra Bose, Aurobindo Bose, and Shishir Kumar, could guess that their uncle was probably planning to escape from the country on a secret mission. But in those days in the Bose family, you were not allowed to ask any further questions. It was only to listen and to act accordingly and do whatever you are being told of. Time and again, I have told, I'll repeat once again, that the total blueprint of the journey was known to Sarat Chandra Bose, to Mia Akbar Shah, and to Major Shatranjan Bakshi. And all the other members, they were only they only did the job which were assigned to them. Now, after all these things were settled, the four members, as I have listened, Ila Bose, Dijendranath Bose, Arvind Bose, and Shishir Kumar, were entrusted with different responsibilities. Ila was given the responsibility to keep a close eye on the members of the family, whether anybody is suspecting anything or not, to listen to their conversations and to come and report accordingly to to her uncle. Shishir Kumar, Dijendranath, or Aurobindo was given the responsibility to keep an alert eye on the police and the intelligence who were roaming around outside the house. At what time they are more alert, what time they slacken their duties, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, particularly during night time, now the winter was approaching. See, it was quite cold. And on those days, Calcutta did not have so many houses. It has many trees. So the winters were a little bit more. And Bhawanipur was a place where southward wind used to blow, and northward wind used to blow during winter, and southward wind used to blow in summer. So the north wind used to come out, the Ganges wind used to come, the Hooghly River uh, wind used to come, and it was during night it was pretty chilly and windy. Uh, Dijendranath and Aurobindo was also given a small but very, very important assignment. What was that? Subhash Chandra told him that carry a small bottle of oil in your pockets of the kurta while going outside the house and inside the house. Pour that oil at the joints of the main iron gate of 38 by 2 Elgin Road. The reason was that when the gate is opened at night, there will be least sound so that no member of the house and the police and intelligence outside the house can be vigilant by that noise. It should be so, I mean, so mild the voice should be. So this was a small work, but it's very important. It is also according to the plan. Okay. Now, Subhash Chandra's elder brother, another point. Subhash Chandra's elder brother, Dr. Sunil Chandra Bose, had two big watchdogs in the house. And these two watchdogs were let free at night to guard the house. Now, these pair of watchdogs became a little bit of worry for Subhash Chandra to escape at night. So Subhash Chandra personally requested his elder brother, Dr. Sunil Chandra Bose, to keep these watchdogs in chain, because he said to his elder brother that they may cause some trouble to many of his visitors who come late in the evening and leave late in the evening also. So these dogs are many people, they do not like dogs, and these dogs may bark and they will feel embarrassed. So please keep these watchdogs tied up on the terrace. There was a room in the terrace. So it was agreed. Sunil Chandra Bose said, okay, no problem. So this problem was solved. Another problem arose in the house. On a big family, there are always certain members who are a bit too conservative about minor things. Now, one member of the family who was more related to Prabhavati Bose, who had used to stay there at 38 by 2 Elgin Road. Now he started questioning other members of the family, like Ila, Dijendro, Aurobindo, then Dhiren Bose. Now why this Shishir is coming every day? Shishir, all the way from One Woodman Park, not all the way, it was near, but he said, all the way from One Woodman Park, Shishir is visiting Subhash's house, Subhash's room every day. And everybody is saying that he is engaged there in tuning the foreign radio stations. Is there no one in the house who can tune in the radios? What is this? Why he is there? So he started asking questions. So it was planned to get rid of that man. How? Now, he had no job. He was that's why he was an educated man, but at that particular moment he did not have any job. Subhash Chandra gave him a letter addressed to the chief of the Tata Steel, a big officer of the Tata Steel at Jamshedpur. That letter, Subhash Chandra told his relative, this letter is actually about a job. And Subhash Chandra had requested that big officer of Tata to recommend a job of this particular relation of his at the Tata Industries. And he told time and again that you just do not deliver the letter and come back. Sit tight at Jamshedpur and see to it that your job is confirmed at the Tata Industries. And then only you come back. Pack your luggages and go to Jamshedpur. So he was also being taken care of by his relative. Became quite evident. 1 minute. Became quite evident that the days are nearing for the Great Escape. Now, on 25th of December 1940, or something somewhere around there, Subhash Chandra instructed Shishir Kumar to drive his car from Calcutta to Burdwan, because Shishir Kumar had already told him that he doesn't have an experience of having a long drive. Okay, so he told that you take your car and go up to Burdwan. And after having lunch at Burdwan, told him to drive back to Calcutta and straight away come to 38 by 2 Elgin Road and report about his physical and mental condition. Now, accordingly, Shishir Kumar did accordingly. He went to Burdwan, had lunch there at the Burdwan station, and came back and reported at 38 by 2 Elgin Road to Subhash Chandra that he was more or less okay after the long journey. So the first practice of a long journey of Shishir Kumar started. Now with these plans and programs were being performed, Shishir Kumar in his usual routine visited 38 by 2 Elgin Road one day. And so the room had too many visitors. Shishir Kumar waited outside for the guests to depart. Now, after the guests departed, Shishir Kumar called in, Subhash Chandra Bose called in Shishir Kumar inside the room where Shishir Kumar saw a very tall and handsome Pathan youth sitting inside the room, and nobody else was there. Subhash Chandra introduced him as Mia Akbar Shah and told that he is coming from the northwest frontier province. Subhash Chandra told Shishir that Mia Akbar Shah was leaving. Mia Akbar Shah was leaving for his return journey to his home on that particular evening. And he said that he has sent his secretary to Howrah station to get the tickets and reservations and told Shishir Kumar that you are to take Mia Akbar Shah to the market in his car to buy a few things. Then after his marketing is finished, to take along Mia Akbar Shah to his hotel to collect his luggages and then drop him at Howrah station. Subhash Chandra also told Shishir Kumar that he need not go inside the station as Subhash Chandra's secretary has been entrusted to help Mia Akbar Shah to board the train. On that particular day, actually, there was an old driver who was driving the car on which Shishir Kumar came to 38 by 2 Elgin Road. Now, as the chauffeur drove the car, Mia Akbar Shah and Shishir Kumar, they both seated in the rear seat and started the conversation in low tone and in English so that the driver would not understand of what they are talking about. Mia Akbar Shah told Shishir Kumar as the first phase of primary journey of the Great Escape was entrusted to the few members of the family and very few close associates of Subhash Chandra. Likewise, Mia Akbar Shah and his close associates were given the responsibility to help Subhash Chandra to safely cross the frontier province border. Now, at the instruction of Mia Akbar Shah, the car reached a shop called the Wachel Mullah, where these all sort of dresses worn by the Western Muslims and the Pathans were sold there and sued there. Shishir Kumar was just casually looked around the shop. Mia Akbar Shah straight went to the counter and asked for 2 pairs of loose Pathan pajamas, okay, and a face cap. This black face cap, usually the Muslims or the Pathans wear, usually worn by the people of the northwest frontier. Now, after the payment, both came out of the shop with a packet, and Shishir Kumar very casually put the packet in the rear seat of the car. From there, they proceeded to the hotel where Mia Akbar Shah was lodging to pick up his luggages. The luggages were put in the dicky of the car, and the driver was instructed to proceed to Howrah station. Subhash Chandra's secretary was waiting in front of the Howrah station. Okay. Mia Akbar Shah went inside the Howrah station premises, and Shishir Kumar instructed the driver to turn around the car and proceed home. When the driver was about to go out of the station area, he noticed the packet bought at Vachan Mullah lying at the rear seat of the car. So he said, let me go and deliver this packet to the person concerned. Now Shishir got a bit annoyed. He said, no, I've got to go home early. I've got some urgent work there. Oh, if needed, this packet can be sent to me, Akbar Shah, by registered post parcel. You proceed on. I have no time to waste now. So the car started its homeward journey. Now this particular set of clothes, Shishir Bose straight away took them after reaching Badminton Park to the second floor room of one Woodland Park and kept it locked in a wooden almirah which was there inside the room. This wooden almirah was later required to keep certain other things also, which I'll come later. Now, after this, Shishir Kumar was given the responsibility to buy a few things needed for travel. Subhash Chandra also gave Shishir Kumar some advance money to buy these things. Shishir Kumar bought a medium-sized suitcase, one attache case, and a hold all. We have all seen the hold alls when we were small. When we used to travel, there was a hold all, the rolled thing under which the quilts and the bed sheets, pillows had to be kept. So that hold all nowadays is not used. Many young people would not know about that hold all, but it was used when we were kids, when we used to travel with our parents, and even when we were students, when we used to go to hostel, along with the trunk there was a hold all also used to go with us. And that attache case and suitcase was also ordered to write the initiation of MZ. MZ. These things, he bought it from a shop at Harrison Road, which is now called in Calcutta or Kolkata, Mahatma Gandhi Road. There was a shop from where these things were buy, and he also bought some toiletries and a pair of flannel shirt from the New Market. Now, as per the instruction given to him by his uncle Subhash Chandra Bose, Shishir Kumar bought some of these toiletries, which are mainly foreign made, not Indian made toiletries, because he was supposed to be a sophisticated Muslim, in the guise of, you leave the guise of a sophisticated Muslim, so he'll be using foreign toiletries, not the petty Indian toiletries, as they call it. And as for the wishes of Subhash, it was actually, and the pillows, bed sheets, and quilt were brought from a shop from Chandni Chowk. Because the hotel was what? So what you need was a pillow, bed sheet, and quilt. When these purchases were done, as I already told you, they were kept along with those flannel shirts and pajamas which Mia Akbar Shah had brought. Uh, they were kept at the second floor. The second floor of the building of One Woodburn Park, locked inside a wooden almirah. And the house was almost, almost empty, because Sarath Chandra Bose had gone to Kalimpong for a change, as I had already told you. And Vibhavati Bose, along with the rest of the members of the family, had been to Barari to stay for a few days with her eldest son and daughter-in-law. So these things bought and taken to the third floor was almost done quietly, without the notice of any domestic help or any family members, and very secretly. Now, how to transport these? 238 by 2 Elgin Road. Now, many of the warm clothes which Subhash Chandra wore during his visit to Europe, after that he had come down and he was living with his Meza for some times at One Woodburn Park before getting arrested. So he had kept these under the supervision of his sister-in-law, Srimati Vibhavati Bose. Because Subhash knew that Vibhavati Bose's this sort of preservation was quite unique. So he had kept these warm clothes under the supervision of Srimati Vibhavati Bose. Now, before Vibhavati left for Barari, Shishir Kumar asked Vibhavati that I would like to know where you are keeping the keys of the Almirah, because my uncle, my Ranga Kaka Babu, wants to have some of these clothes, because after he is cured a little bit, the British will once again arrest him and take him to jail. And during the winter, where he'll be sent, nobody knows. So he would like to have some warm clothes with him. So Bhimavati had told him that there's the place I am keeping the keys. Whichever you want, warm clothes, you take out and send it to your uncle so that he can choose amongst them. So that was done previously. So the thing was all clear, everything had come. So likewise, Subhash Chandra's domestic help, at the instruction of Subhash Chandra Bose, started visiting One Woodburn Park. And to carry these particular warm clothes. And he brought with him a big carry bag and a big sheet to take the warm clothes. For Subhash Chandra to choose and keep it with him. Now, Shishir Kumar also sent the purchased hold all, bed sheet, and pillow along with the warm clothes, 238 by 2 Elgin Road. There was a big sheet sent by Subhash or sent by Ila Bose through the domestic help. In that big sheet, the hold all was rolled, warm clothes were rolled, the pillows were rolled, and the bed sheets were rolled. They were sent there. So the whole roll was kept there. The pillows were kept there. Bed sheet was kept there. The blankets were kept there. The new one, what? And rest of the clothes, they were sent back, to one Woodburn Park by the domestic help. And Subhash Chandra, of these particular warm clothes, picked up a prince coat, the prince coat, which is, like this. The waist is full sleeve like this. A waistcoat which we wear nowadays, prince coat is a full sleeve type of a coat with tight at the neck, close at the neck, and few other warm clothes. Shishir Kumar also had bought a strong, sandal, Kabuli sandal. It's a special type of a sandal from a shop in Newmarket at the instruction of Subhash Chandra. Those Kabuliwalas or the people of the northwest frontier province, they used to wear such shoes. So he also had brought that. So these things were done, and the toiletries were kept in the attache case and kept inside the Almera on the second floor of one Woodburn Park. That was to go along with the car on the night of the journey. Now the need for was there for a visiting card for the disguised Subhash Chandra Bose. The matter to be printed on the card was written by Subhash Chandra Bose, and he told Shishir that go home and copy the matter on a piece of paper, and after doing so, just burn the sheet on which I have written the contents and put it into the commode in the toilet and put on the flush. Okay, that's what was done. And he also told Shishir the particular place to go to print the cards and told Shishir that you go in a Western dress. You wear a suit, a tie, you wear a hat, and you go there as if you are printing the card for yourself. The Shishir was just got dressed up one evening in a European suit, in a tie, in a necktie, and in a hat. Actually, these things were brought for the family members of the house because, Sarat Chandra Bose he usually visited along with his family to the hills. He had a house at Kurseong in North Bengal. He used to go to Simla at times and other places, Kalimpong, and used to take his family along with him. So these warm clothes or these European clothes were required. So Dr. Bose also had such a cloth which he used to wear only when he used to go out with his father and with his parents. So he wore that and went outside, but as luck would have it, he was intercepted while he was going out by a cousin in front of the house. So in avoid uh, to not to create any dialogue on this and to create an inquisitiveness in the cousin itself, she quickly said that I have a very important dinner party, so I'll be going there and I'll be coming back soon. I'll meet you after I come back. So he went straight without giving any chance for the cousin to ask any questions, to avoid unnecessary questions and curiosity. So he left, and after leaving straight went to the place. The particular house he went to Chorangi first, took a taxi from Chorangi, and straight went to the uh, designated place in a locality called Radha Bazaar. Radha Bazaar, there were many shops where they used to print these visiting cards. Now, this visiting card, the same manner, after a few days, when he gave an order to that particular shop, he went back and to schedule date and time to receive the card. When the shop was to give the delivery of this particular printed cards, and the card was written like this. At the top, it was written Muhammad Ziauddin. Little bit under towards the right, traveling inspector. And then the next line, the Empire of India Assurance Company. After that, permanent address, civil line, Jabalpur. This was the card which Subhash Chandra was to carry with himself because he was traveling in the disguise of a Pathan or a Western Muslim, and by the name of Muhammad Ziauddin, who was supposed to be a traveling inspector in an insurance company. Now the discussion started on the minute detailing of the escape. The question was, which car will be used for the escape? Subhash Chandra had his own car in the house, but it was a risky proposition. Why? The travel could be taken by the car, but on the next day morning, if the people find, the family members and the police and the intelligence find that the car is missing from the house, they will definitely have a suspicion. Okay, so that idea was abandoned. Sarat Chandra Bose, Subhash Chandra's elder brother, had two cars. One a big car, Studebaker President, and a small car, a German Wanderer. Now, Sarat Chandra used to use the car himself, and many people knew this car. So if the escape was to be in this car, people would be suspicious, maybe, that why Sarat Bose's car is out at night on the road. Now, the small German Wanderer car, actually it was registered in the name of Shishir Kumar. Because Shishir Kumar loved to drive. Sarat Bose also knew that his son could drive the car very well. So when he had bought this small car, the German Wanderer, he had registered it in the name of Shishir Kumar. So ultimately it was decided not to use any other car, but the small car, the German Wanderer, was which was usually used by Shishir Kumar, will be used for the secret journey, as because people knew that Shishir drove that car, and the registration of the car was also named in the name of Shishir Kumar. Also, this particular German Wanderer had one distinct advantages over many other cars. In those days, in long journeys, the engine of the cars used to get heated, and it was necessary after a few hours to stop the car and put some water into the carburetor or engine, allow it to cool down a bit, and then start the onward journey. But this Wanderer car had a special type of engine. The engine of the Wanderer car would not get heated up so easily, even after miles of traveling. So it was easier but for the long journey that this Wanderer car could be taken and driven by Shishi. But now another small problem arrived. Previously, it was not decided which car would be used. Now, after it was not fitting inside the dicky of the small car, that suitcase. What to do? Time was running out. The mother was supposed to come back, yes, had come back. Then uh, she, Sarat Chandra Bose has also come back from Kalimpong. It's not possible to buy another suitcase and in front of all the family members take it. So in that particular second floor room, Sarat Bose had many suitcases of many size. Okay. So there was no other way around. So that MZ from the suitcase which was brought from Harrison Street was scratched by a blade or something, sharp edge. And another uh, suitcase was of the size of the dicky of the Wanderer was selected by Shishi Kumar. But on that was inscribed SCB. What to do? That SCB had to be scratched, and on there, and Shishi Kumar bought some Chinese ink from the market, and he wrote with his hand MZ by scratching SCB. So ultimately, this problem was solved, and the, everything was set. His corrections and all that. She took the car to the garage for a thorough checkup of the engine and other parts of the car. A new battery was bought for the car, and new tire was of the car was placed in the dicky for emergency use. After the overall checking of the car, Shishi Kumar took the car in a lonely place of Park Circus. Park Circus at that time was quite lonely in some other place. Okay, where he practiced the changing of the tire of the car. If needed, or if it is at all required, in case of emergency while traveling. So the German wanderer now was ready for departure, ready be to undertake long overnight journey of the Great Escape. As I said, at that time, Srimati Bibabati Bose was in Barari. So Subhash Chandra also instructed, before all this happened, Subhash Chandra also instructed Shishi Kumar that you go to Barari by train and then come back on that particular car to bring back your mother and your siblings. So Subhash Chandra, at the advice of Subhash Chandra, Shishir Kumar went from Calcutta to Dhanbad by train, and from Dhanbad he went to Barari. Now the idea was from Dhanbad to Barari, when he goes by road, to see the milestones so that during the night there'll be no mistake of reaching the house, or early morning reaching the house. Okay. Another point was, while they were coming back in the President's Studebaker, Hishit Bose was sitting at the front seat just beside the driver of the sofa. And he kept a strict watch on the road to see the milestone, the road from Dhanbad to Calcutta, because after a few days, he has to come back by the same road, and from Dhanbad, he was supposed to take the route to Barali. So these sort of things they went on, and ultimately everything was arranged, and the family members were also back, and only the green signal and the day was awaited for the great escape, which is one of the most exciting things in the history of Indian independence movement. I think I've taken quite a long time. So shall we just start the next episode, the next portion from the next episode?
Yes, and I have a proposal that
Yes.
we can discuss the next episode on 16th of January,
No problem. No problem for me. 16th is
because 16th is next Saturday,
next
and
Saturday.
the midnight of 16th 17th actually is the journey date.
Exactly. We will start. We will start on the
That
16th
that
January.
yes, that's
Very,
why it will be nice to start on that day.
very good proposal. I welcome it. 16th January, we will start. Not, of course, late night, but in the evening. From the evening.
Absolutely, absolutely, and
Okay.
and I mean
One thing I can say,
before the celebration, before the celebration of his birthday, we will we will stop after reaching in Kabul.
yeah, that we can do.
Sorry,
That we can
Peshawar.
also.
We will reach
Yeah.
Peshawar on that day. Yes,
Mhm.
so it will be
That
done.
of course, it's not very much in my know-how, but I can say a little bit of it. That won't take much long time. Okay. Only thing is that uh, his stay at Kabul was a little. I mean, uh, it was it was little bit broad. I mean, straightened. Uh, I mean, it did not end at the desired date. He had to stay for a little more days for the clearance from the intelligence and all that.
Yes, yes, yes.
And to get a clearance from the other people to cross the frontier. Once he crossed the frontier, Kabul, I mean, where would he go? Because he very desperately wanted to uh, approach the Russian embassy, but there was no response.
Russian embassy.
Ultimately, how he got the um, green signal from the Italian embassy, that is also a part of this history. Because actually, the wife of the Italian ambassador at that time in Kabul, she was a German lady. And she had contacts with these revolutionaries of the Gadar party and the Kirti Kisan party. And also with certain
Yes.
leaders of forward bloc. So she actually sent the feedbacks, and Subhash Chandra entered the Italian embassy to get the passport done. And he left Kabul with a Russian visa. There was a transit visa actually. Anyway, that's not that. But one thing I should say, my last episode, I had quite a few friends of mine watching it, and they listened to the whole episode, and they made a comment that they've liked it. So we are having some viewers now, serious viewers, You are not only saying Jai Hind or Naman or whatever it is, but they are watching and they are appreciating the discussions going on. That's a good sign, I must say. So Jai Hind to my viewers, and please feel free if you want to have anything, want to say anything regarding this particular episode or the previous episodes which you have seen. And in the meantime, as per schedule, we meet on the 16th of January next.
Mr. Moshe, actually, I missed in between because of my network issue.
Okay.
Mr. Moshe said that Mr. Moshe
You
got
were
some
saying that.
good feedbacks about these sessions. There are few people who are seriously listening to it and contemplating on it, and they're liking it.
Oh, very good, very good. Actually, this is one of the most interesting part of Indian history.
Absolutely.
Let's see as the episode goes on, because after that I will be discussing about the arrests of all these Sarat Chandra Bose, Dijendranath Bose, Arvind Bose, Shishir Kumar Bose. Ultimately, in 41,
Yes.
Sarat Chandra was arrested. On 41, Dijendranath and Arvind were also arrested, and Shishir Kumar was arrested in 1942. And particularly,
True.
everything the intelligence could know, but they couldn't prove anything. They could not prove anything because none of the three brothers, they were mentally tortured, physically tortured, but they did not utter a single word. The secrecy, the oath of secrecy, which they bore here and here, in the minds and in the heart, that they did not leak it out even after
Absolutely.
lot of tortures. So this particular aspect I would like to discuss when I finish up the Great Escape thing. That will be
Sure.
probably on the fifth episode. I mean, sixth episode.
Absolutely.
After 23rd January.
Sixth episode. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Jai
Yes.
Hind to all the viewers and Jai Hind to
Absolutely.
both of you. And I hope I've overcome my emotions.
Jai Hind.
I've overcome my emotions and I could say the things in a clear tone.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Jai Hind.
My cousin is ringing
Jai
me up.
Hind.
I'm seeing.
Sure.
So I have to attend to her call.
Sure, sure.